In this video I show you how to use Unity and Wwise without coding. For this I use the new visual scripting tool from Unity. If you have ever worked with Bolt or Playmaker, you will quickly find your way around. I'm currently using the Unity version 2021-2.7F1 and the Wwise version 2021-1.7.7796. A little warning before, you will not learn visual scripting here, but the use of Wwise and visual scripting combined. If you want to learn visual scripting, look for good tutorials, there are enough out there. But I will show you 1 or 2 cool things you can do with Wwise and the timeline, and at the end you will be able to create your own soundscape in Unity. The integration of Wwise in Unity you can also learn in other tutorials. In general, it's relatively simple. First, we have to create a soundscape in Wwise. For this, I use Blend. With Blend, I can play several sounds at the same time from one source. I use Blend for almost everything. Next, I load a sound into Wwise simply by drag and drop. For Real Project, I use Nuendo and Game Connect, but in this case I just drag the sound into the editor. The sound is now created, but can't be played directly yet. For this you have to create an event that Unity can refer to. To use the event in Unity, we have to load it in the sound bank. The sound is now created, but can't be played directly yet. For this you have to create an event that Unity can refer to. To use the event in Unity, we have to load it into a sound bank that can be loaded in the respective scene. We also create a new sound bank for this. Let's call it Test. Now that we create a test, we can put the sound in there. Let me change the localization of the sound so we can hear it directionally. Now we save, generate the sound bank, and switch over to Unity. Now we are in Unity. I have created a small scene in advance. We have here the first-person walker. This is a prefab for a package I often use. We also have a plane, so some surface we can walk on. We have already a sphere, which should emit the sound later. And we have a sound object called Wwise Bank. This is something I also added in advance. To create a sound bank, you create a new object, like this. Then you add a component called AK Bank. Like this. And here you can add your appropriate sound bank that matches the corresponding scene. In our case, the bank test. I already did that, so I don't need to do this again. As you can see here. And now we have access to the sounds that we want to use in the scene. To add a sound, there's a pretty simple way to do that. Just open a new object. For example, let's take a cube, like this. Let's place it somewhere. Yeah, this looks nice. And let's add a component. The component you need is called AK Ambient. and you get a bunch of stuff when adding this to an object. But let's focus on this part. We have a trigger on called start. So this object should start when you hit the play button. You can do a lot of other things, but that's something we will take a closer look later. This stuff is something you don't really need to investigate right now, but this one is very important because there's no event currently loaded or selected on the sound object. So I will load our sound that we previously integrated in Wwise, the play sound, and add it to the AK Ambient object. Now we have the possibility to play the sound in the scene. Sounds beautiful, right? I also added this to the sphere, but this was just to show you how this works. So we can delete the cube, and because we already got this on the sphere. Start the scene and let's hear what happens. This works pretty fine. And you can do a lot of things with the AK Ambient object. For example, creating soundscapes in Wwise. I could add environmental sounds, like wind, grass, leaves, cars, whatever I want. But sometimes you want the sound coming at a current situation, at a current time, when you're doing something very specific. So the trigger on start might not be the best option to do that. For this, you might need coding, but we will use something that is called Visual Scripting, which is, in my opinion, much easier to use, especially for beginners. But before we can use Visual Script in Wwise, we have to add Wwise to the system. For this, we open the project settings and open Visual Scripting. We need to use these two. We can open them in advance. And I already added the stuff before, but I will show you what I added. First, we need to add a few things from Wwise. I always add these. Not sure if you need all of these, but in my case it works. So I think we are fine with that. We need to add the Wwise Unity Mono Behavior Editor, the Mono Behavior, the API Wwise Types, the API Editor API, and WA API. Then you can search for type options. In this case, we used AK Ambient. You can just add them by pressing the plus button and typing the name of that. For example, Ambient. Then you can just choose AK Ambient and you're good to go. When you finish all of this, you can just press Regenerate Notes, and this one takes a few seconds to update. The goal is now to play sound whenever the player touches the ball. To achieve this, we have to set that every time that there's a collision between the two, the sound is played. So for this, we need to create a visual script on the ball. Now, the component script machine. This is what it looks like now. First, I change from graph to embedded. Press Edit Graph. And I get this. This is our, let's call it blueprint or board, where we can add objects and connect them. First, I want on collision enter. This one. I press enter. And this is the object. So on collision enter, do something. We can also get some information, but those are things we don't need right now. now we need the AK ambient object. And we need this specific action. Handle event in game object. This is very important. So I got this object, but if we start the game now, nothing will happen. So we need to add something to make this work. First of all, we need an AK ambient object in here, which is in our case the sphere itself. So let's just add it here. And now this one should work flawlessly. We can close this. The next thing is we need to change the AK ambient object from, we had it on start, we need to change it to nothing. We don't want to play the sound from the beginning because we only want to play the sound when the player touches the ball. So let's start and see what happens. This looks fine. That worked out great. I hope you could learn something. In the next video, I will go into more functions like reverb and rooms. If you have any questions, please write them in the comments below. I hope to see you in the next video.